Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot and a PMDG 777 beta tester. Welcome to the best long-haul aircraft available in Flight Simulator 2024, the PMDG Boeing 777-200ER, soon to release for FS 2024 and FS 2020. We're sitting in Denver today, flying the Pratt & Whitney version over to Honolulu, and I'm really looking forward to this flight. Finally, having a full-fledged study-level long-haul aircraft available in the new simulator. But for the time being, since it's about to get a little loud here with that 737 passing by, let's get inside and let's start to work on our flight. So here we are in the flight deck of the 200ER. If you haven't seen my introduction video yet, then you will see that there are a couple of changes, such as different flight instruments, but we'll talk about those a little bit in greater detail as the flight progresses. Also new pages in the UFT down here as well, of course. So with all of those details set aside, let's get into it. As always, I do believe the best way of showing an aircraft is just to show it doing what it's supposed to do, aka flying. So coming inside, let's start with a preliminary pre-flight procedure. So the ADRU is coming on up here, then we are going to check the status display. And down here we check for sufficient hydraulic quantities, we check the APU oil quantity, oxygen, crew pressure, and for any messages that we can find up here. On the ICAS we are going to check all the messages we have, so let's do that recall and then just go over everything that's shown over here, making sure that there is nothing there that would impact the dispatchability of the aircraft. Also check the engine oil quantity, which is looking good, and then we can do the oxygen test. Down here, for that we are going to press the test switch, verify that the crew pressure doesn't drop too much, and that's it. And I just really like the fact that this stuff just all works really well in the PMDG aircraft. Alright then, so the emergency equipment is checked, aircraft documents are all on board, and with that we can go right into the CDU pre-flight procedure. It really is a little strange doing all of that stuff, coming back from Airbus where you do things in totally different logic, but hey, let's go. So, on the electronic flight back tab, we are going to download the flight's data over here. That brings us our operational flight plan. Now, with that pulled up, we also verify that we've got all the necessary charts at hand, so most notably that's going to be the airport chart and the parking gate chart. And then we are going to go for the SID chart as well, and we are planning on the cohort 6 departure today, so let's find that one. Over here it is, and here we go. Now from here on, let's go into one of the new pages, which is the weight and balance page, and I am just going to load up my weights from SimBrief over here, so that gives us things like the takeoff weight, the zero fuel weight, etc. One thing that is worth noting for the American friends among us here, you need to change your weights to pounds by just clicking on them over here. That way you get your familiar pounds. It's not automatically taken over from the aircraft's settings. Now, in terms of fuel, you guys know me. You know that I do like to change the fuel, increase it a little bit, and that's exactly what we are going to do over here. So 108.8 is the minimum. Now we're going to go with a little bit of extra fuel, so let's go ahead and increase this fuel level. Let's make it a 37%, for example, 112,000 pounds, and that's it. And that's the fuel quantity that I do want to take today. Now, with that done, let's head right back into the operational flight plan, then we can start our FMS setup. So, since it's been a little while since we have used the Boeing FMS, I will just explain things a little bit here again. In the meantime, IRAC out of date. Oh yeah, that was something. But remember, you can update it straight from the tablet itself. So let's go ahead, hit install enough data, and that is going to uplink our latest IRAC into the FMS. I just really like that. Okay, so while that update is in progress, we can head over to the ACAS com page. So down here we are. Let's just put that tablet away again for a moment. So on the flight information we can do our ATIS request, and we are going to depart Denver. So let's go ahead and get the weather for Denver. I'm going to use VATSIM over here with automatic updates so that we get an update whenever new weather does become available. Alright, so now our IRAC update is complete and we can see the new IRAC has been installed over here. I really like the fact that we can do this live on the fly now and don't have to, you know, quit the sim, update the IRAC. It's nice to have this. Alright, so this is the 777-200.1 for the ER version. We have the Pratt & Whitney 4090 engine fitted over here. The nav data is up to date. Then we can go to the position in it and copy and paste the GPS position. And heading over into the route page, we can do a route request. Now, you can already see that it's automatically uploaded the Denver to Honolulu route. And I am going to select this one. Now the request is pending and we are waiting for the route to arrive. In the meantime, we have received a new message over here with the latest weather. And we have Denver information Delta at 1753 Zulu, surface wind 090 at 10, visibility over 10 miles, clouds overcast on 1000, temperature 8, altimeter 3022. And that's all generated by VATSIM data. Alright, so loading up the route down here. Our call sign United 384. And we can insert that as the flight number. Now let's go for the departure and arrival page, and we gotta pick a runway to depart from. Now let's have a look into the airport chart to see what we have. The wind, as we can see down here, 090 at 10. So probably something such as runway 08 up here for the departures. And I think that's actually the one we are going to go for. So let's select runway 08, then we've got the course 6 departure, and looking up here we are transitioning towards Voxa, however you pronounce that one. Alright, for arrival then, index arrivals into Honolulu. And we do have lots of different ones available over here. We do plan the ILS approach runway 8 left today, and we have the Inouye 1 arrival up here coming in from Bitter, and that's the one we'll select. Now let's go over here onto the next page and cross-check that all the entries we have in here agree with the flight plan. So that's Voxa, Quebec 134, Tattoo, direct Kilo Oscar 48 Golf, Kilo Oscar 45 Echo, direct Bebop. And then we follow the Romeo 464 airway all the way to Bitter, and from there we join the arrival, activate and execute. Now onto the next page where we can cross-check the accuracy of our data. So let's go to the SID. Let's also bring up the daylight version of the chart here. Okay, so from runway 08 we proceed on the runway heading until we receive radar vectors. Accelerate to 250 or greater upon reaching 10,000. If slower speed is required to meet crossing restrictions, advise clearance delivery prior to taxi. Okay, gonna do that. And, well, that's our SID. So basically just on the runway heading, which is exactly what we have down here. And then we are going to proceed via Ipala above 12,000. Then Molson above 14,000. Then we have Bullets above 16,000, and then Course above 17,000, and then on towards Voxa, and that's it. No speed restrictions over here. On the progress page, we check the ground distance, 2,965 versus 2,962, so that's just about perfect. Now, let's copy Denver and put that into the fix page to create a 25-mile ring around our departure airport, and that is for the awareness of the MSA, which is 10,200 in here. Okay, cool. So from here, we check the NavRAD page, nothing in there, and we don't need anything. VNAV page, transition altitude 18,000. Obviously, since we're in the US, that is correct. And then we can go on to the init reference page. We can accept our automatic uplink, and then just cross-check the weights. So zero fuel should be 388.6. We are gonna enter that later on. Then our reserve, 17.2 is uplinked, And according to the flight plan, it should be, well, 5.9 and 6.5, so we are at not quite 17.2. Okay, see, that we're cross-checking. That's why we're cross-checking those uplinks, because you can never really rely on them totally. Okay, so 6.5 plus 9, 5.9 is 12.4. So reserves 12.4. Enter that. Now for our cruising levels, we are planned in flight level 380, so let's go ahead and enter that. 380, here we go. Cost index 20. Minimum fuel temperature minus 37. Cruise CG, since we don't know any, we are going to enter 30 over here. Step size will be 0. I'm going to enter the steps manually. So then on to the takeoff reference page and the next page. Thrust reduction and acceleration at 1500 each. That's fine with me. And then let's go on to the next page, and over here we can enter our step climb, and that's at below flight level 400. So below is over here. Let's insert 400S, and that's the step climb at level 400 entered. And for the time being, that's everything we got to do up here. So then let's leave the pilots flying FMS on the performance in it. We'll go onto the route page on the pilot monitoring's FMS, and that's it. Alright, now let's do the flight deck inspection. So up here, basically, exactly as per my tutorials, we cross-check that everything is properly set, like all this. Then let's go down to our main panel. Down here we had a QNH of 3022, like this. Auto brake into RTO. We can flick that FMS selector, left, right, auto. Then going down into the comms, 1 to 2.8 and 1 to 1.5 will be our frequencies of choice. Like this. So listen and transmit VHF left, right. Also want to hear the flight interphone, and we want to have that stuff on the speakers. Weather radar into WX and T. Same on your side. Then transponder obviously should be off on the ground. We'll set the TCAS mode to above. And that's it. Alright, perfect. So cabin interphone is the standard page open on the third FMC, and with that we're basically done down here. So now on our MCP, we'll just do a quick setup, and up here everything's set. Now onto the checklists, reset and all. The comm page is basically set already, so let's just close that ATIS. And that's it. And same thing for you. And you can already have terrain as well down here. Alright, and that's our pre-flight procedure completed. So with that done, let's go ahead and go into the departure briefing. And for that we gotta head over to the pilot monitoring seat. So, Denver runway 08 departure, and we are going to depart via the course 6 departure, Voxer transition, initial climb 2. Well, that's the question of choice here, so let's just go ahead and have a very quick look. So, is there any initial climb listed on this? Yes, flight level 230. Man, that's how I like it. So, here we go. Initial climb 2, flight level 230, and we have no extra fuel. Well, actually we do have 4,000 pounds of extra fuel, and that's it. Alright, wonderful. So, for the remainder of our briefing, I have no hotspots for our taxi routing. Stop margin in case of rejected isn't going to be very much. You will actually notice that the 200ER does not accelerate very well up here. Now, for an immediate return, Denver is available. We have not prepared anything for that in the FMS though. And, well, that's pretty much it. I have nothing special or non-standard up here. We of course have the high elevation, so the plane isn't going to accelerate very well. We are familiar with that. No threats originating from this. Any questions? No? Beautiful. In that case, pre-flight checklist please. So, oxygen, tested 100%, flight instruments, heading 352, altimeter 3022. Pre-flight checklist complete. So, by now our boarding should be completed, so let's head down here and go into the ground operations and ground service vehicles. release all vehicles. Then we can go to the doors and close them all. On the ground connections, we can release our jetway. And then let's go ahead and verify APU is running, so the chocks can be removed as well. Beautiful. And with that, we basically have prepared our aircraft down here. So let's go back into the weight and balance. And now we can start work on our performance. So zero fuel weight, as we can see, is 387.8. And that results in a gross weight of 499.9, and that's basically what we got down here as well. Beautiful. So then we can head over into the performance tool. Denver, runway 8, we've got a full length available. We will import those weights, or we could just type them manually. Both are possible. I'm going to go for the import here. Same for the weather, and then let's hit calculate. So takeoff 1 at 39 degrees. So takeoff 1 at 39. And that's an EPR of 1.34 versus 1.3 up here. Close enough. That's fine. So takeoff. And we have a flap setting of 5. Our CG is 29. That equals 5.5 units of trim, and that matches the EFB. Speeds 149, 150, 151. And those are within 1 knot, so we can just accept the FMS speeds. Alright, and that's our performance calculation complete. So then, let's get rid of those onto the ground operations, door management, arm all slides. Alright then, let's say hello to our passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon from Flight Deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emmanuel in the name of United Airlines. Welcome aboard Flight 384 towards Honolulu. Flight time today has been calculated at around 7 hours. We do expect a smooth flight in initially 38,000 feet, later on 40,000. Would like to thank you very much for being our guests. Welcome aboard our Boeing 777-200, and we wish you a pleasant stay aboard. Thank you very much for your attention, and we'll get back to you with the latest weather when we start our approach into Honolulu. So, I know that was a rather unrealistic announcement, not enough is and as in there, but hey. Okay, cool. So then let's go ahead with the before start procedure. So, 151, we'll go for LNAV and VNAV. Runway heading is 083. Here we go, flight level 230 is already set. Ground flight deck. Yeah, go. So, can we pressurize the hydraulics? Yes, Captain, clear pressurize. Thank you. So, right system first, wait for the fault light to go out, and then the rest. You can hear the air conditioning packs going off, and after a little while they will come on again. That's a feature, not a bug. So, 5.5 units of trim. And now you can hear the packs slowly coming back to life. Alright, and the transponder goes on as well. So, comm message, and that's weather. So, wind is still 090 at 13, temperature 8, altimeter 3019. Here we go, and that fits a little bit better as well. Alright, wonderful. So, before start checklist, please. Flight deck door. Is closed. By the way, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but the simulator runs a lot smoother with the 777 than it does with any of the other aircraft that we've got available in the sim at the moment. That's really worth mentioning here. Performance on this aircraft is excellent. So, before start checklist, flight deck door, closed and locked, MCP, V2, 151, heading 083, altitude 23,000. Takeoff speeds, V1 150, VR 150, V2 151. CDU pre-flight completed, trim 5.5 units 0 and 0. Taxi and takeoff briefing completed, holding at beacon. So then, let's go ahead and get our better pushback to work. Provided it does work. Come on, you can do it. Can you? Alright, if that one doesn't work, how about GSX? Doesn't work either. I just love it. What is wrong with flight simulation developers if these things don't work? It's the first time for me seeing that better pushback doesn't work either. Okay, well, in that case, pushback clearance is given, beacon on. Before start checklist complete, park and brake released, and then we've got to do things the good old way. Alt P. Is it Shift P? Control P? Something like that. No, none of them. Alright, well, in that case, settings, controls, keyboard. Let's search for pushback. Toggle pushback. Alt P. Okay. Happy with that. So here we go. Alt and P. And look at that. We are pushing. Are we? Almost. That's one of those things. What's the tug doing now? Come on. You can do it. I'm sure you can. Microsoft Flight Simulator and their add-ons. It's really a pity, and I don't understand why PMDG has removed the pushback functionality from the aircraft. I really don't see any reason. But okay, here we go now. So, one of the things that I like so much about the 777 is that you can start both engines at the same time if you have either Pratt & Whitney or if you have Rolls-Royce engines. Now, we have Pratt & Whitney fitted to this aircraft, and no, we're not going to blow them up. I have to give you that. So, let's wait until the pushback has actually finished, and when it has, then we can start with our engine start, because I really want to show you that engine start in action. So, well, looks like the default pushback isn't even making it onto the center line. So be it. Can't have it all. Well, we're gonna stop the pushback over here. Here we go. And then park and brake is set. Now let's go for the engine start. So both engines at the same time, left and right. The fuel control levers just go on. And now we'll just watch it do its thing. That's what I really like. So N2 is increasing. That's gonna take a little while until we will get N1. We already have oil pressure. That's a good sign. So reaching our 30%-ish. We have fuel flow. N1 is increasing. And then we should get ignition any moment, so EGT should start a rise. And here we go. Also listen to those sounds. Completely different from the General Electric engine. Alright, and that's 2 good engine starts. So you're clear to disconnect. Show me the pin on the left, please. Have a wonderful day. Bye now. Okay, so clear signal is received. Let's go for the flight control check. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral and the rudder. Full left. Full right. Neutral. So, we have one warning, hydraulic pressure demand center 2. But that should actually already be working. Well, let's just reset it real quick. Okay, looks like that one is not resetting. Let's do a recall here. Apart from that, we only have the TCAS. Well, in that case, hydraulic pressure demand C2 non-normal checklist, please. Condition: the demand pump output pressure is low when commanded on. C2 air demand pump selector on. So, C2 air demand pump selector on. So, hydraulic pressure demand message stays shown. Nope, doesn't look like it. Let's do a recall here. Nope. Okay, that's the hydraulic pressure demand C2 checklist complete. In that case, before taxi checklist. Anti-ice. Auto, recall, checked. Flight controls, checked. Ground equipment, clear. Before taxi checklist complete. Alright, wonderful. We are clear on the left side and we are clear on the right side. So, lights are coming on, park and brake is released. Then, let's go. Hawaii is waiting. A little bit of thrust to get moving, since we are located at a pretty high elevation over here. If you are located at sea level, at typical weights, the aircraft is even going to taxi all on its own in idle thrust. So let's quickly head over here and go zoom all the way in, switch to the Navigraph charts, and then zoom all the way in, as that is going to give us our airport taxi chart. I totally love that function. Alright, cool. Listen to those engines when I'm adding some power here. So, probably getting a little fast here. So, back down to 10 and around the turn. So, cabin is ready, wonderful. So it's not as long as the 300ER, you need to use a little bit less taxi or a little bit less oversteering here. Alright, so the left side is clear, the right side is clear. Then we can exit the ramp straight onto the main taxiways, and let's see, all the way northbound via Mike, so onto the second taxiway here. I just really like that taxi map. And the integration is so nice as well. No lagging or anything when loading it up, like in some other add-ons. That's one of the things that I just really like about PMDG. The things just work. So this might have been a little bit too much oversteering now. I do totally get that. See, that's the old habits from the 300ER there. So, new comm message, we'll check that in a moment. really like the engine movement down there. Just look at how that engine is wobbling around. So, gotta get back to the flight deck here. Taxiing in a straight line. In the real world, it's much easier than in the simulator. I have to admit that. Okay, before takeoff checklist. Before takeoff checklist, complete. To review the takeoff briefing, it's a left seat takeoff, runway 08, flaps 5, nose abatement procedure 2.5, and the speed's 50, 50, 51. Engine out sits straight at 25 miles, climbing 11,000, the MSA 10,200. Radar vector departure, eventually leading us southbound around the airport, and I think that's mostly it. Any questions? Nope. Wonderful. So, we did have something on the comm page here. Oh yeah, new weather. Let's see, QNH is now 1019 are still. Okay, that's fine. Closing this, closing this. So look at this. Just maintains the 30 knots perfectly. I like it. And again, I just can't overemphasize how wonderful the frame rate is with this aircraft. So easy on the systems. Alright, so clear on the approach and clear everywhere on the right. Line up. Cabin crew, prepare for departure. So, a little bit of things going on the TCAS here. Runway 8 is identified. So long, cleared for takeoff. Let's just do proper lineup here. Well, that was not a proper lineup. Okay, are you ready? Take off. Listen to those engines. So, set thrust. Thrust set. $80 knots. Checked. Look at the slow acceleration here. You really feel the elevation of Denver. V1, rotate. Positive freight. Gear up. LNAV. Checked. VNAV. Autopilot. Just looks nice, doesn't it? So, back up to the front, and then let's go into heading mode here. And maybe turn right, heading 180. So, flaps 1, speed checked. Flaps 1. It's incredible how low the climb EPR is, isn't it? Flap 0? Or up. Welcome to Boeing world. So we will accelerate a little bit on this heading in order to get the aircraft around the airport, which we can nicely see on the right hand side there. Now, really excited to see what kind of vertical speed we are going to get once we are established in a proper climb here. So, 2,000 feet a minute. 2.5 maybe. Okay, so, after takeoff checklist. After takeoff checklist, complete. Then weather is not going to be a problem. Terrain might be. Let's go over to the terrain display here. And then we can start a right-hand turn. Heading 270. So let's maintain those 250 knots here. Speed window is open. (2,000 feet a minute in the turn. Yeah, that seems about reasonable. You can nicely see the valves of the fuel dumping system on the wing over there, looking quite nice, isn't it? And that's Denver Airport. I really like the roll rates, the pitch rates, you know, all this stuff that makes the PMDG aircraft so unique, because they get that kind of stuff right, while a lot of the other developers, you know, are like, oh, yeah, maybe we do that, maybe we don't. And one of the things that you just really see with your PMDG aircraft is how accurate they fly. The autoflight systems are wonderful. The flight dynamics are really good. And even in manual flight, the flight directors are just working exactly like the real ones. And that's stuff that you barely see with any add-on. That's very easy to forget because it just becomes second nature when you're using it. But that's essentially the key of your PMDG add-on. Alright, so let's fly direct to Apelli. So, execute, LNAV available. LNAV. Let's start accelerated at 15,000 over here. And off we go. So field elevation is roughly 5,000, so we're like 10,000 AGL now. Okay, so we're in the US, that means the lights are going to stay on, but we can release our passengers already. And then we do have something on the comm page down there. Again, new weather. Okay, cancel. Cancel. That's it. Okay, cool. So with that, we're basically up and on the way. Now, I would say, sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. friends, and here we are. Getting close to the top of descent, 80 nautical miles to run, 6 hours and 15 minutes locked on our book in the 777-200ER, and with that we can start to prepare for our approach into Honolulu. So let's start by actually grabbing the weather information. By the way, as you've seen, I did not carry out the step climb since our optimum altitude was a little bit lower than the optimum altitude calculated by SimBrief. You can see the recommended is still at flight level 380 right now, so for this reason I chose to stay down at 380, as that would be our most optimal cruising level. Now, it's getting pretty bright outside. Let's go ahead and close those sunshades down here. And well, then we can start having a look at our arrival charts in Honolulu. So let's go to search arrival, star, and we've got the Inouye 1 arrival, and then we can have a look at the airport itself. So runways 8 left and 8 right are available as landing runways, and we will be going on to 8 left today. Parking probably somewhere up here on the main terminal, and we can pick that one and the parking spots. Then into the stars we have that. Now for the approach, that will be an ILS approach to runway 8 left, and last but not least we can pin that TMA chart down here as well, just so that we get a better view of everything along our arrival routing. So that's our arrival weather right over here. So information hotel, surface wind is calm, meters per second. I really wonder why that is. 0 knots. Visibility is over 10, clouds view 2500, scattered 4000, temperature 27, altimeter 3007. And that... oh, it's the wrong button. Here we go, 3007 is pre-selected. So then, our plan to runway 8 left remains valid. Let's cancel that one. And then let's go ahead and start to prepare the actual arrival. So, onto the plan mode and the legs page. Let's get the chart out over here as well. And then here we go, Inouye 1. So, coming in from bit out above flight level 250, we've passed that one already. And then we continue on towards Bows, Hispo, at 270 knots and above 17,000 feet, on towards Bambo 250 between 10 and 15, then on towards Ain at above 8,000, Inouye 230 knots and above 8,000, on towards Dazura, and then Oka at 210 knots and altitude 6,000. From there we're going to join the ILS approach onto runway 8 left. Let's open that chart over here as well. I could have selected the Oka transition, I chose not to, but it really won't make much of a difference here, because ultimately it is going to be radar vectors anyway. So for the approach, select maximum 220 and above 4,000 feet, then we continue towards, however you pronounce that one, Frog Tree? I don't know. Well, in any case, we crossed that one at 2200, and that's the final approach point. We have a 3-degree glide, which we also have down here in the FMS. And for the missed approach, we continue to 500 feet, then climbing right down to 5000 at heading of 200, and then outbound on Honolulu VOR radial 171 towards Alana and hold. And that's pretty much exactly what we've got in here. Alright, wonderful. So onto the VNAV page. Let's see, 0.82250. No, that's too slow. Let's do 83 and 300. Like this. Then 240 below 10,000 is okay. Onto the forecast, we can load that one up. Here we go. Now for our destination, Honolulu, fixed ring at 25 miles. Like this, and I think that's pretty much it. So 18.7 tons, 18,700 pounds on arrival, 23.6 right now, so basically we are using 5,000 pounds, which adds up to a gross weight of 406.5. Let's make it 407. So, flaps 25 for our approach, and that's pretty much it. The runway itself is fairly long, but let's go ahead and do our landing calculations. So, performance tool, landing en route, Honolulu, runway 8 left. Import the aircraft details, and let's switch that over to pounds as well. Flap config 25, and the rest is looking good. Alright, import the weather, and we are certainly going to use our reversers. Calculate. And here we go, 2,000 meters of landing runway required. Using auto brake 3, and if we do that, we will locate pretty much in the middle, so over here at Yankee, and that leads us right to the terminal. And I think that's about the best we can hope for. Well, that's our approach preparation completed, except for the minimum. So let's find that real quick as well, and that's 213. So, 213, here it is. Well, and that's about all there is to it. Then let's start with the approach briefing. Okay, so we are following the Inouye 1 arrival with radar vectors for an ILS approach runway 8 left. The minimum's 213, and in case of go around, we make that right hand turn out, climbing eventually 5,000. 18.7 versus 12.4. Let's see how much we are burning. So we burn like 12,000 per hour. So we're arriving with basically like half an hour extra. Okay, thank you very much for that. So I do plan the ILS approach using the flight director and config 25 landing, or flaps 25 landing. Auto brake 3, vacate the runway to the left after about 2,000 meters. I have no hotspots for the taxiing, and we have nothing special or non-standard. Threats for the arrival? Well, high terrain is something that we can take note of. We'll go into the terrain displays when we are close enough to our destination. And that's pretty much it. Any questions? No? Beautiful. Then let's say bye-bye to our passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, from Flight, this is your captain speaking. We'll start our descent towards Honolulu in about 5 minutes. Do expect an on-time arrival, and the weather over there is currently very nice, temperature 27 degrees Celsius. Thank you very much for choosing United Airlines for today's flight. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We look forward to welcoming you on board our Boeing 777 in the future again. Thank you very much for your attention, and we wish you a nice and safe continuous journey. Alright, I'm fully back, and with that, let's do the descent checklist. So, recall, checked, notes, checked, auto brake, level 3, landing data, Curve 25, 136, minimum Sparrow 213. Approach briefing completed, descent checklist complete. So then, seatbelts are coming on, and then I turn to say that I see you all on the approach to Honolulu. So we're passing 10,000, and with that the lights are on, the signs are on, and we are on the QNH already. Let's go ahead and do the approach checklist, please. Altimeters, QNH 3007. Approach checklist complete. So direct required, that is checked, I disagree with it. Beautiful airplane, isn't it? I know, I say that a lot, but I really mean it. I think the PMDG 777 is just pretty much the best long-haul airliner available for the sim, and it is the best long-haul airliner with quite some margin, to be honest. So let's go inside again. We can continue our descent down here to 6,000, actually down to 5,000. So slightly reducing our speed again towards Inoi. The airfield is inside just down here, so I think we can pretty much go over to visual approach over here, since there are no clouds, no nothing. So let's go ahead and do that. So, manual flight. And then let's say ATC has already cleared us down to 3,000 feet at the present speed into the downwind. So I'm putting out some speed brake over here, like, there we go, about half. And then let's turn right heading to 60. I'm cutting into the procedure a little bit here, but I think without any meaningful traffic ahead of us, that is not going to be much of a problem. So for a little test here, let's just stow that speed brake. So we don't need that one anymore. Thanks. So extend the center line, please. And execute. Okay, so we're pretty much stable at 230 knots now, getting about 1,000 feet a minute rate of descent. Pretty much stable, about 1,000, maybe 1,100. That's not making too much of a difference here. Right, cool. So, unfortunately we don't have a glide slope indication on the standby instruments here. That's one of the disadvantages of this set of standby instruments. Alright, let's descend towards 2,200 feet and, well, one aircraft ahead of us, climbing. I'll tell you what, let's do a right-hand turn already, heading 300. So that guy's got to be in 1,500, but I can't see him anywhere outside. Should be somewhere here. No, no contact. So speed out, and we'll continue the right-hand turn onto a heading of 360. Okay, flaps 1. Speed checked. Something I like about those EPR gauges is that you can actually see that our engines are producing drag and idle thrust here. With an EPR of less than 1, that engine is not producing any thrust anymore, but only drag. Okay, so turn right heading 050, cleared ILS approach, runway 8 left. Going slightly through the altitude here. That's the problem when you have to focus on manual flight and handling the MCP and all that stuff. Okay, flaps 5. Speed checked. Flaps 5. Right slope capture. Go around altitude 5000 set. Okay, gear down, flaps 20. So we're starting to slow down right now. Come on, comp page, not now. Cancel. Flaps 25. Speed checks, flaps 25. So, landing checklist. Landing checklist complete. Alright, and just about stable at the 1000 foot gate. I like it. Checked. Just gotta love this look, huh? Look at this. So, stable through the 500 foot gate as well.
Approaching minimums.
Checked.
Minimums.
Continue.
100. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Speed break up. Thrust reverse normal. I did flare a little bit too much, have to admit that. But on the other hand side, it was smooth as silk. Alright, manual brakes. And with that, welcome to Hawaii. We'll vacate the runway to the left-hand side over here. Our terminal is right up front over there. So let's take things slow. And here we are. Okay, cool. So our terminal is right over here, and our gate is going to be the first to the right-hand side after that initial left turn here. Constantly keep forgetting the gate number, but here we are. So overall, the 200ER just lands really nicely. You just gotta flare it at the right height. I flared a little bit too high. That's why we landed so long. So, lights off, weather radar is off. Now let's read the markings. Is there any 777 marking over here? Doesn't look like it, but not a problem. We'll park on the 787 marking. A little bit hard to judge as always, but I think it will be somewhere right over here. Okay, and stop. So, park and brake set, APU running. Cabin crew, all doors in park. Well then, and here we are. So let's go into the ground operations here. So disarm all the doors, ground connections, set chocks, ground power request. We'll get the jetway as well. And then let's go ahead and check the engines, which are running down. So beacon off, seatbelts off. External power is already available, excellent. Squawk 2000 standby. Flight directors off and parking checklist. Sorry, shutdown checklist. Park and brake, set. Shutdown checklist complete. So let's see, oil quantities are looking good. The status display is looking good. Doors are disarmed. So, aft cargo, forward cargo, bulk cargo, and then let's go ahead and open the doors. Let's see, where have they connected? Oh, they haven't connected at all. Wonderful. Okay. So be it. Let's try that one more time. Actually, I think I pressed the wrong button here. I pressed the passenger entry button, not the jetway request. Here we go. That's the jetway coming. That's what we wanted to see. Well, my friends, and that's all I can offer you for today. I do hope you enjoyed our first 777 flight in Flight Simulator 2024. I absolutely had a blast with this one. It's so good finally to have that by far best long-haul airliner available in Flight Simulator 2024 again, especially combined with those lovely visuals. I just really enjoy flying the PMDG Boeing 777-200ER in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. So that's it for everything that I can offer you today. I hope you enjoyed flying with me as much as I did flying this one. Be sure to leave your feedback in the comments underneath the video. As always, like, comment and subscribe, and if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.